Hi, welcome to Ambiflow, the 3D digitalization platform for telecom infrastructure. In this video, we're going to focus on rural new build projects. The Ambiflow 3D digitalization approach is a single, future-proof approach for designing, building and operating existing and new network infrastructure. In this video, you can see we're at the first of 6 videos from the project section. You can also find short videos on the home page and on the products page, and at the end of this video I'll share a link to a playlist where you can access all of the videos. In this video we're going to start off very briefly with the digitalization formula, understanding what it's really all about and what's the formula at play here. We're going to spend most of our time on the second section, which is demo to see all of this process of finding, acquiring, designing and building at speed and volume. And in the conclusion then we're going to look very briefly at some amazing automations that arise from the digitalization approach. So the digitalization formula that we use at Ambiflow is very simply data multiplied by industrialized process multiplied by automation, and that's where the benefit arises. And the key elements we need to understand are the difference between a digital twin and a 3D model. And in Ambiflow it's all about digital twins, which are highly intelligent models. We need to understand the difference between digitization and digitalization, and many people think that they're the same thing, but digitization is the process of converting real world assets into a digital version, whereas digitalization is all about leveraging the digitized assets. The industrialization for us is all about producing end-to-end processes that drive sites through the system. And workflow is a key component of that in terms of automated communications, automated reporting, automated management of events. And we have many other automations like automated production of drawings, automated schedules and so forth. And of course the need to consider the future. And many of our future needs are not known right now, and digitalization approach is a perfect way to put yourself into a situation where in the future needs you've got the core asset that will be able to be leveraged in the future. So now the demo. Before we get into the light demo, just want to show you what exactly we're going to cover. Here we can see the platform page, and I just want to draw your attention to the 4 site apps. So the first one is the GIS application, and we're going to go right into that in a moment. We're also going to see the workflow app. We're going to see how the workflow and the GIS application work together, and we're also going to see how these work with the 3D tool. So we're going to see some 3D builds happening in the 3D tool. We're going to focus on other videos. We're going to focus on the drawing editor, so we're not going to get into that in this particular one. And just want to, before we go, just want to draw your attention to the site docs on the platform. So all of the work that's created via those other applications it shows up on the platform and is available for everybody else. That's everything to including drawings, reports, etc. All is created within this closed digitalization factory, a closed system. So now let's look at the GIS system. So here we are in the GIS tool, and in other videos we're going to get into the GIS tool, a more comprehensive review of the GIS tool. Right now in this video we're focused on how do we use the tool to manage the acquisition and deliver acquisition at high speed, and that's about connecting the GIS with the workflow and the 3D build. And so just what I will briefly say is that we've got 3 different toolbars in the GIS application. So we've got fiber tools, we've got fixed wireless access, and here we are in this particular use case we're looking at the wireless application and wireless toolbar. So in this scenario here we're seeing a blue shape, which is a region that's been agreed with the customer, and these search rings that you see on the screen, these are the locations that have been identified from the Site Finder tool, and you'll find out more about the Site Finder tool in the video number 4, which is about the geodata analysis. So in terms of setting up this demo, we're starting at the point of where these areas have been identified and no options have been generated in this region. So there are 30 of these search areas. The inner circle is the search area, the outer circle is the intended coverage of each of these locations. So the center points are the optimal location for infrastructure, but obviously in the real world, you know, the theoretical location is almost rarely available, and so you have to take real world situation into account. So for example, in this use case is rural broadband use case that's set up here, and so proximity to power. So we want to be near farm buildings because that's a really good location to guarantee that we'd have power and access. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a split screen here so we can bring in the workflow tool straight off. And so whether we create, you know, want to add search rings, you can add search rings in here, but I'm just going to work with what we have here on the screen. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the map to Bing Aerial. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit more here on this map. I'm just going to hide the layers. And so the purpose right now, the purpose is to identify possible options. We're not interested, so we want to do in a single exercise, we want to sweep this particular search ring and find all of the available options, and in a second pass then we're going to see how that's filtered and how we choose the preferred option. So I'm just going to identify, and I'm not going to get precise because we got a later stage of the process we will fine-tune all of the locations in the 3D. So right now we've got, so as I clicked on the map, a pin has appeared and this dialog box. So what the dialog box has done is it's identified that it's in search ring number 25, and that is synonymous with the customer site number 4585, and the Ambiflow ID is a auto-generated number. So this is very important because that on the platform, that particular entity there has its own site page, and the configuration here is we're going to see that in the 3D tool, how we can automatically stamp what we call standard builds inside the 3D. So a standard build is a fully complete build done in 3D, and you can see that in a moment. So if I hit save, I'm just going to hit save on that, and then if I just look at over here on all tasks, you can see that that entity 2417, you can in fact see two references to this site. The first one here is marked as complete, automatically complete, and it is to add the option to the search ring. This task here is a cascaded task, so having added the option, the next step in the process is to determine its suitability and nominate it as the preferred option. So we're going to see that in a moment. I'm just going to stamp some more locations, and then I'm going to show you how the process of identification of a preferred option can happen. So let me just, so again, the purpose here is to identify all these locations. This one is 2418, and we can see, in fact, if I just filter the onto to do over here, you can see these entities are coming in. So I'll stamp another location here. Again, as I said, I'm not being too precise here. I'm just going to, it looks like an option here, and I can put another one. Let's just see here. No, that doesn't look suitable, and potentially it is, so it's better off to stamp it if I think it might be. So it potentially looks like it's got access, so we can stamp that location, and let's just move around the map here and see if we can find any others. Yes, over here we've the potential. So we're getting out towards, there's the search ring, and we're getting out towards the edge of the search ring, and the tool won't allow us to place any outside the extremities of the search ring. So let's just move forward. So there's two more potential locations there. So let's just mark those before we move on. So one more here, and we'll leave it at that. So we'll imagine that we've completed the searching. So you can appreciate how marking all of the options is quite a quick process. So if I just go back here and filter on, just reload, just refresh the page basically, so we can see, all of those options are created here. So just to return here, and we're later going to go into 3D, but while we're here, just want to show you the process. So let's say that in this scenario, this particular option here, this one here, so I just want to click on this one here. let's say that this one, as you can see, it's we can edit this. It's currently, each of these are created as what we call option backup, but as soon as we decide that this becomes the preferred option, we can just click on update and you can see the pin has become green. So that's what we need to see from a workflow point of view. The workflow has event management and exception reporting that will tell us any of these search rings that don't have options identified, and it'll also tell us any that have options identified but don't have a preferred option. And so what that is about is ensuring that a healthy search ring will have at least one green. Whether it has a healthy search ring might only have 2 or 3 of these options, but that's fine so long as it's got a preferred option, because the whole idea is that the preferred option is then driven through the sequence of events via the workflow. You can saw already, if we just minimize this again, you can see over here that if we filter back on all tasks, you can see again the idea that this task was completed, which automatically triggers the next task. And that's what the workflow tool, it's a key function of the workflow tool, is triggers automatically. As one task is completed, it cascades. We can also use the term domino effect. It automatically knocks the next task into operation. So we can, for example, we can also edit, if for example through the Intel we find that there's a problem with this location, we can mark those as dead. And these entities are updated in either on the workflow tool here, or can be updated through the 3D tool, or from the platform. So and if these pins move, when we move them in 3D, they will update on the GIS. So we're going to go over now and have a look at the automated build in the 3D tool. So here we are in the 3D application, and what we're going to do first of all is just surface those options inside the application. So what we can see here, so this is actually a different site, a different area than we looked at a moment ago in the stamp tool. In this area here, we've got the options. So each of the options that were stamped are showing up here as these kind of these tall columns, which we can turn on or off. So what we want to also see is that the options, we can go to each of these options in turn. So we've got for this particular site, there is a number of options. We can just go to each of these and we can just flick between each of those ones, and we can see what's there. So the idea here is there's 2 options within the workflow. One is that it actually automatically drops the particular configuration in the scene, but what we find is that it's actually better not to do that, and actually to do that in a manual step, and we're going to see that right now. So in order to install the standard build in this location, so I'm wearing the hat now of the that person, the RF engineer or acquisition, the person who's going to make a decision about, for example, the height of structure. So let's say, for example, that I've determined that a 150 feet structure is suitable. So what I can do is load, we've got a greenfield configuration. So we build these standard builds, and so right now this is an example for a particular customer, and they've got 3 different heights of greenfield structures, and so we're just going to drop that location in here now. So it's just loading that into the scene right now. It just takes a few seconds to do that. And so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to turn off the these poles here, so we can actually just focus on. So within this standard build, as you can see, we're going to have to move it about a little bit, but that's no problem. That only takes a few seconds to do that. So what I'm going to do first of all is just turn off these poles, and just turn on the equipment has come in on the proposed layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just raise up the side a little bit. That looks okay, and I'm going to rotate it, and then I'm going to move it. Once I've done that, I'm going to have a look behind and just see, are we remember this is desktop stage, so we don't have to get too precise here, and the whole idea is that we will actually adjust this a little bit later in the process after we've had a site visit. So when we have the site visit, the model will be updated to reflect the local reality, and so therefore we don't need to over-engineer this. So this is fine. You'll notice that there's no fence compound. The reason for that is that we can bring in different types of fence compounds, and so for example we can bring in if I spelled it correctly, we could bring in we've got a perimeter fence here, which is a palisade fence. So let me just see that here. And so the idea with this is that, again, we can rotate that to suit, and we can you can see, I'm just going to raise that up actually, just you can see the concrete footings or foundations for the posts. And so we just put that back down, and we can move that into position very quickly. That's not the purpose of this video. I just want to show you that, so we can do that probably a bit later. Right now we're just more interested in getting the site. So there we've got a site that's built. So what we're going to do is go to the next location. So if I go to this location here, before I do actually just turn on the poles so we can see those. So go to that location. So again, in the stamp tool, so in this example I'm going to put in the insertion. So the idea is that this is giving us an approximate location. With the aid of the 3D model, we can better locate these things. So let's put, we've got for this customer we've got a number of what they call Streetworks locations. So let's put in an SW60. So I'm skipping the whole process. So I mean, it's a qualified person would be doing this, and so therefore that person would know what is appropriate for each of the different different situations. So we build out all of those standard builds. So I just want to show you something here with the with any of these structures. So I'm just going to turn off the poles, those locations, and as I raise the structure, you can see that we have in fact the entire structure, including the foundation and they call this the root foundation, and the concrete. Can actually turn off the concrete piece itself, and you can see there's the reinforcement cage. So I'm just going to turn that back on, and what we're going to do is we're going to lower that back into position. We might just move that out actually, just to show the whole manipulation of the movement of the entire structure. So that's now back in position. We could take the cabinets and we can move them. We can rotate the cabinets and we can move them forward, and so you can see in a matter of seconds you can have a layout completed. And so we'll just to complete the set, we'll just do one more, and just to get a bit of variety here. So we'll just go to this third location here. I'm going to leave the pole off for the moment, and so we're just going to put in a different structure here. So let's just say that this is a GF 100, so 100 feet. So these configuration names are entirely customer driven, so whatever the customer wants to create these as, that's what we create. So I'm just going to turn off the zones here. Sorry, turn them off. That shape that was on this is the legal demise area. So we can see again that that we're a little bit low here, so I'm just going to raise this up, and we probably want to rotate. Maybe we want to move back the side back in this way actually. So let's just say again desktop, so we've no point in getting too fussy. The big advantage of this is that you now have a tool that you can actually evaluate a number of options in a far more intelligent way. So those within the organization who need to assess visual impact, performance. So with these three options we can automate the generation of propagation maps, so you can have, when you know the cost of each of the different solutions and you know the performance of that solution, you can very easily justify you can use data to help you to make better decisions. So and everything that's coordinated here in the 3D. If I just turn back on for a moment the zones, these poles. So as you can see, what we need to do here very simply is to move that pole back into position, and so I just want to so we can just move that over onto so that now is coordinating the location. So that pole now will update the location in the 2D map. So let me just go to each of the other locations here, and so this one here, so that's now updated. And finally, I think this last one here is good enough. So let me just go to the second location just to speed things up. So we can see that this one is thereabouts. So we can just move it slightly into position, and we can see that that's okay now. So if I hit save now, the 2D map and the 3D model are fully aligned in terms of the locations. So, and then again, workflow is connected throughout all of this. So let's look at the amazing automations that are available from this digitalization approach. So with digitalization, you've got automations in bills of materials, in other commercials such as automated costings, automated ROI, automated value engineering, automated 3D designs, automated drawings, automated calculations, automated orders, automated scheduling, automated workflow. We've mentioned that many times, workflow, but there are so many other things that you can script on a customer by customer basis. So specific new automations that you want to add, you're in the perfect approach with digitalization. Such as, for example, RF optimization. It's possible to script an RF optimization module that will go into the scene and calculate every available position. And that leads into other automations around machine learning and AI. So we're going to have a look at some images from one of our component libraries. We've many of these libraries and many components, and really just want to see here the approach to creating these intelligent components. Each one of these components has its own specific menu or control panel, and so those elements that have any kind of articulation or motion, the control panel controls that so that you get the real world behavior, and you also get certain things like physical properties that are invisible. We make those visible. So you see with those cabinet doors can open just as they do in the real world. So if you want to see some more videos, there's a link there to a playlist. That playlist has all of the videos in it, and so it's a convenient thing to bookmark. So until the next time, thank you.